going ups and down. Sometimes we feel fortunate, sometimes we feel unfortunate in this world, and but ultimately, all more often than not in this world, we're feeling unfortunate, and actually, we are very misfortunate in this world. So, in this section of the Bhagavatam, it'll address how misfortune arises through Kali. In this age, the great demonic personality Kali has a place in misfortunate environments, but there's no place that he can stay at all, and we'll talk about that place, and then how we can apply that to our life, where we don't have to be misfortunate ourselves. We can have good fortune, and the ultimate good fortune is even at the last verse we read, those who have dedicated their lives to the transcendental topics of the personality of Godhead, of whom the Vedic hymns sing, and who are constantly engaged in remembering the lotus feet of the Lord, do not run the risk of having misconceptions even at the last moment of their lives. So they'll always be situated in good fortune. They'll always be situated in the proper understanding of life, that one's life should be to understand the relationship between us and you could say, the creator of this world. If we do anything else in life, which is what we're doing everything else in life, we have a misconception. We don't understand our origin. We don't understand our purpose. We don't understand what real auspiciousness or good fortune is for the human being, or for the soul. We think that, the soul's here, I should try to enjoy. But actually, this spirit of trying to be the enjoyer is actually what's causing us all of our suffering. I want to enjoy. But as soon as you want to enjoy, that means what you have now is not good enough. So then I must go get that. And then you get that. And then 10 other things that you must get arise. And I have to get this, and I have to get this, and I have to get this. And then you start to try to gather things, and more and more and more and more anxiety. And then you start losing other things that you got. And then you start, but it's all based on ignorance and misconceptions of understanding. What do we really need? There's only one thing, and that's to establish our relationship between us and the Supreme Lord, the creator of this existence, the creator of us and all other beings. And by, like a leaf doesn't have that many duties on a tree, but one of its duties is to stay connected to the root system, stay connected to its source. As soon as it disconnects, it will wither and die. So similarly, our duty as little living entities in this world, if we stay connected within the heart to our root, to our source, then we can be nourished, and we can grow and blossom and experience the pleasures of existence. But as soon as we try to disconnect like the leaf, and we try to make it on our own, then we start to wither and die. And quite literally, that's what will happen. But if we stay connected in yoga, that's what yoga means, is connected. If we stay connected in yoga throughout our lives, then we can have real good fortune, and the real aspect of the soul can blossom. Do you want me to take him? Is that what you're doing?
He's just sitting for Bhagavatam. You don't take him.
Okay.
He's just a passive.
He's just a passive listener.
Listen.
Okay. So we read about this yesterday, or last time we had Bhagavatam. And yesterday we had an evening program, which was supposed to be, just being me, my wife, and Parth, and we were going to study a kind of a deeper subject matter.
Well, it wasn't supposed to be, just no.
Yeah. And we started to discuss the Mana Shiksha, but then at the last minute, one of our Airbnbs came down, and he was very profoundly impacted. But then we just said, I didn't feel comfortable going through the Mana Shiksha with him, which was kind of like a little bit of a step above. So we said, all right, back to Bhagavad Gita, step 1, and we went right to step 1. And actually, I'll tell you what, it was very nourishing for me personally to see Krishna's first instructions of the Bhagavad Gita and how potent they are, and how I needed that. I need those foundational instructions. So, the essence of what we learned last night is that the wise, they don't lament for these temporary things of this material world. The wise, the seers of truth, they understand that which is has endurance, which is lasting, and which is like the soul and the soul's connection with God. And they understand which has no endurance, and that would be considered temporary or even illusory. You know, like if we place our happiness in having great wealth and family success, we're fools, because that great wealth and family success will all dwindle with our body. You know, but most people, they're chasing this thing. They're chasing wealth and family life and all these things, and they think that's the highest purpose for them. But they're not realizing that the wise never, upon not receiving, or even on not, that being in jeopardy, they don't lament over these things. The wise really only look after their eternal well-being. So let's look after our eternal well-being. So let's do a Mangal Charana, our prayers that are glorifying the eternal teachers who have left us this knowledge and have taken this eternal path and left us clues on how we can make advancement. And then ultimately we have live teachers who are very deeply connected, and this knowledge has been passed down to, and we connect to them. So we'll glorify, and then all the Vaishnavas, all the spiritual practitioners, we'll glorify so many personalities in this Mangala Charana. These prayers, they are in Sanskrit. You may not know the meaning, so it would be nice if we know the meaning. Shuparth, can you hit? Let me see. I'll share the screen. Let's go with Madhav. I hope Madhav is doing okay. There you go. Well, you went to chapter 3 of the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, it's...
Go to introduction.
Harijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishapana Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Gadadhar Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Shivaya Krishna Krishna Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschata Neshutani.
So, what are we looking at here? Repeat after me. Tavat kalirna prabhave
Tavat kalina prabhave
pravishtopi sarvataha
Vishtopiha sarvataha
yavadisho mahan urvyam
Yavadisho mahanudhyam
abhimanyava ekara.
Abhimanyava ekavra
Tavat, so long. Kali, the personality of Kali. Na, cannot. Prabhavet, flourish. Pravishta, entered in. Api, even though. Iha, here. Sarvata, everywhere. Yavat, as long as. Isha, the Lord. Mahan, great. Urvyam, powerful. Abhimanyava, the son of Abhimanyu. Ekara, the one emperor. Translation. As long as the great, powerful son of Abhimanyu remains the emperor of the world, there is no chance that the personality of Kali will flourish. Purport. As we have already explained, the personality of Kali had entered the jurisdiction of this earth long ago, and he was looking for an opportunity to spread his influence all over the world. But he could not do satisfactorily due to the presence of Maharaj Parikshit. That is the way of good government. The disturbing elements like the personality of Kali will always try to extend their nefarious activities, but it is the duty of the able state to check them by all means. Although Maharaj Parikshit allotted places for the personality of Kali, at the same time he gave no chance for the citizens to be swayed by the personality of Kali. So, the elements of Kali are everywhere in this age. They're meant to degrade the age. But as long as we have leadership that has these devotional qualities, or that are actual devotees of the Lord, and they will not tolerate any lack of dharma, any adharmic activities, then Kali cannot flourish. So Maharaj Parikshit, who is the king of the world at that time, there was no way that Kali was going to flourish with him ruling over things. Now, many thousands of years later, all leaders are completely bewildered by the activities of Kali. And we discussed these, what they were. Anywhere where there's meat eating, anywhere where there's intoxication, anywhere where there's gambling, and anywhere where there's illicit sex life, sex outside of marriage, and even sex outside of trying to have children, just sex for overall enjoyment. These are where Kali can flourish. But those who are, very much devoted to God, they don't find attraction to these activities, and they'll never let Kali flourish in these ways, because they know all misfortune comes from these activities coming. So, then the last place is also there where is gold too. Where there's great wealth, where there's gold also, Kali will flourish, because people will start to deceive others and all kinds of things. It's very dangerous also. So usually devotees are not fabulously rich, and if they are quite rich, then they will use that gold for the service of Krishna. And they'll always use their wealth to maintain devotional standards, devotional life. And then Kali cannot flourish. So the essence is, wherever there is Krishna, Kali can never flourish. Just like wherever there is light, darkness cannot flourish. There might be a total cover of darkness, but as soon as the sun comes within the sphere of darkness, darkness immediately leaves. So similarly, wherever there is Kali, wherever there is misfortune, as soon as Krishna becomes present in the experience of those in misfortune, all misfortune will leave. What we sing, Radha Krishna Bolo Sange Chalo E Matra Bikachai Jai Sakal Bipod Bhakti Vinod Bole Jakono Nam Gai. Let's chant Radha Krishna, join our mission. That is all we beg of you, says Bhakti Vinod, chant and know misfortune cannot threaten you. If you just chant Krishna's name sincerely, and you call out to Krishna in your life, misfortune actually cannot threaten us. So, but due to our misfortune and our offensive attitude towards Krishna, we don't chant with sincerity. It's very important to develop, to use your faculties as an offering to God. We have three. Does everyone know the three faculties that you can use in offering to God?
Mind, body,
Mind, body?
intelligence.
Kind of. You're close. It's the consciousness, which you could say the mind is the heart, the body, but actually the other one is the words. Yes, so you could say, the intelligence would use the words. And is your words. Your mind, your body, and your words. Or your heart, your body, and your words. All of these things should be used for the Lord. So that's why every day we sing. We sing for the Lord. And it's not just an empty activity. But to offer our words to the Lord is very powerful because we speak so much throughout the day. We talk to the professor, we talk to our colleagues, we talk to our spouse, or we talk to our friends. And unless we learn how to offer our words to God, then it'll be incomplete. Then instead of God, just like unless we have light, the darkness will not go away. So unless the Lord appears on our tongue, then darkness cannot. Darkness will remain the all-pervasive energy of our consciousness. So with our heart, with our mind, we should think of the Lord. With our words, we should speak of the Lord. And then ultimately with our body, we should serve the Lord, different activities of service to the Lord. So this is our process. And wherever that's happened, Kali can never flourish. And under the son of Abhimanyu Maharaj Parakit's rule, Kali will never be able to flourish there. So let's see, and this will go a little bit more clarity in the next verse, I believe. Yasmin nahani yarhyeva Bhagavanutsa sarjagam Tadaive hanuvrittosav Adharma prabhava kali. Yasmin, on that, ahani, very day. Yarhyeva, in the very moment. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Utsa sarja, left aside. Gam, the earth. Tada, at that time. Eva, certainly. Iha, in this world. Anuvrita, followed. Aso, he. Adharma, irreligion. Prabhava, accelerating. Kali, the personality of quarrel. Translation, the very day and moment the personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, left this earth, the personality of Kali, who promotes all kinds of irreligious activities, came into this world. The personality of Godhead and His holy name, qualities, etc. are all identical. The personality of Kali was not able to enter the jurisdiction of the earth due to the presence of the personality of Godhead. And similarly, if there is an arrangement for the constant chanting of the holy names, qualities, etc., the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no chance at all for the personality of Kali to enter. This is actually a really important point. We chant Nam Namakari Bahudani Jasarva Shaktis Tacharpitani Amita Smarnena Kalaha. So what this means is the holy names of the Lord are manifest in many forms, and they contain Nija Sarva Shaktis, all of his own personal potencies. Meaning that, like we chant, his limbs can interchangeably fill their operations. One of the sciences is when you offer something to the Lord, just by his darshan, or being able to see it, he can consume it. So similarly, that's part of his shaktis. So similarly, just by his name being present, say on our consciousness and with our words, with our consciousness, and even in service of the body, he actually becomes present. That's the nature of the Lord. Like, you can call my name all you want, and I won't come. Because in this world, names and forms they're different from the actual, you could say, they're different from the objects of the names and forms. Or the names are different from the objects of the names. But on the spiritual transcendental platform, the Lord himself, he's non-different from the name. The name of him is actually equal to him personally. But because we don't have sufficient faith in this, we can't realize that actually. And we can't see that. But with the right vision, with the spiritual vision understanding, By actually just simply calling the name of the Lord's presence can be felt. And even as we desire more and more to associate with the Lord, just by Krishna will personally run to the place where his name is very lovingly chanted. But because we're not lovingly chanting, we're chanting for other reasons, he's not so attracted. Just like, we become very attracted. Do you know what the number one, scientifically, what the number one word that each living entity likes to hear? It's like one word. Their own name. That's what the living entity likes to hear the most. Because they like to be acknowledged, they like to be recognized. So this is science. Scientifically, this is what every person, that's their most dear thing to hear is their own name. So similarly, this is a quality of man, but this is a quality of God as well. So when we acknowledge God, he becomes very pleased that, they're acknowledging me. Let me share my mercy with them. So just like also, and we develop relationships with people who call us by our names or give us even different names. Like it's not uncommon for couples in loving relationship to have nicknames or special names for each other. And that name is very dear, but it's also not uncommon to have nicknames from your childhood friends. Did you have any nicknames when you were a kid? Yeah, what was your nicknames?
It's not a nickname, but mostly they call with my first, last name in general.
Okay, like your friends?
Like my friends, yeah.
Your friends. So if I were to call you your last name, you would be like, oh, that's pretty strange that you called me that.
No,
but if you were to hear that one of your friends called your last name, you would be like, oh my God, because you have that dear relationship with them.
Yeah.
So similarly, my family members, they call me Rani. That's just was my, but if you guys were to call me Rani, I wouldn't like it that much. But like when my mom calls me Rani, I'll answer. It'll catch my ear because I have that relationship with her. So similarly, when we develop a relationship with God and we start calling his names, it becomes more and more dear, and it becomes more and more attractive to him, and it becomes attractive for us as well. So we have to understand this element here, that the name, the qualities, and even the Lord's instructions and pastimes that we're reading about in the Bhagavatam, they're non-different from Krishna, actually. We are personally associating with Krishna, and if we actually understood this, we would do these activities all the time. But right now our faith is very small, it's very meager, and we don't understand that, wow, the more I associate with you, Krishna, through your merciful names, your scriptures that describe your qualities, your pastimes, and even the talks of your devotees, the more I do this, the more, and even the more I worship you personally on the altar or join in worship practices, the more I can actually get to know you and associate with you deeper. But we don't have that much faith yet in that. You just think, oh, well, they're worshiping statues, or they're just mumbling on the beads, or they're just reading books. Who knows the authoritativeness of these books, anything like that. But the more we associate with these things, the more we can actually feel the presence of Krishna, and the more our faith will develop. So if there is some faith has been developed, that's why when we had our talk the other day in the kitchen, I was like, do you have faith? Do you believe in like God, or things like that? And then once I established, oh yes, he does believe in God, then I said, okay, then here's the next tier. Maybe this is a good idea if you were to do these type of activities. But if there's no initial faith, then we can't enter the next stage. And the whole aspect of love for God that's cultivated is actually very, very much condensed faith. Like in the beginning, do you guys like rubbery?
Sorry?
You like rubbery?
Yeah.
The sweet rubbery. So in the beginning, when you make rubbery, you have to take milk and you boil it down and condense it more and more and more, and then eventually it becomes very thick and creamy, and it's like this rubbery, almost like taffy, substance. So similarly, as our faith becomes more and more condensed, it becomes thicker and thicker and thicker and sweeter. And the relishment. So in the beginning, our faith might be like milk or even watered down milk. But as we boil and condense by the process of bhakti, it gets thicker and sweeter. But it takes time to, boil the milk, which is what we're trying to do. But as we boil the milk through these processes of bhakti, more and what we'll taste is sweeter, and we'll get something closer to rubbery rather than just like a pot of milk and sugar. So this is what we're trying to do. So these are some things. So the personality of God and His holy name, qualities, etc. are all identical. The personality of Kali was not able to enter the jurisdiction of the earth due to the presence of the personality of Godhead. And similarly, if there is an arrangement for the constant chanting of the holy names, qualities, etc., the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no chance at all for the personality of Kali to enter. So if we are regularly having a place where the constant chanting of the names of God and His qualities, like here, that's what we're trying to do here, there will be no place for the personality of Kali to enter here, which means misfortune cannot affect us, and nobody wants misfortune in their life. So, and even in our life, if we regularly, that's why I'm trying to say, Sampath, it's good you come 4 times a week, 3 times a week, this is good. But if you came every day, it'd be even better, because then there'd be no chance of misfortune on all the other days too. So this is because wherever there is the personality of Godhead, wherever Krishna's name is being chanted, wherever His qualities are being described, wherever in the mind one is thinking of Krishna and trying to associate with Krishna, all misfortune is finished. So this is our process. So let's see here. And similarly, if there's an arrangement... no, I read that. That is the technique of driving away the personality of Kali from the world. In modernized human society, there are great advancements of material science, and they have invented the radio to distribute sound in the air. So instead of vibrating some nuisance around for sense enjoyment, if the state arranges to distribute transcendental sound by resounding the holy name, fame, and activities of the Lord, as they are authorized in the Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, then a favorable condition will be created. The principles of religion in the world will be reestablished, and thus the executive heads who are so anxious to drive away corruption from the world will be successful. Nothing is bad if properly used for the service of the Lord. So right now, he was talking about the radio. He wrote this in the 50s. Late 50s, he wrote this, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, I believe, or maybe even early 60s. But the television was just kind of coming out at the time, but radio was actually the most prominent thing. Now we have the internet. Internet is not bad if we broadcast and hear, and we do this. If we hear about the glories of the Lord, the kirtans of the Lord, the chanting of the Lord's names, no problem. None of these things are bad. But it's when even robots, none of it's bad if it can be used in service to the Lord. But as soon as, these things are used for material purposes, these temporary enjoying spirit of the things of this world, then they will actually become a nuisance, and they'll ultimately invite misfortune and Kali to enter. So it's very important that we surround ourselves with vibrations and things that will ultimately give us the Lord, bring the Lord to us, bring our consciousness to the Lord. That's why this process is called Krishna consciousness. Just by the consciousness being on the Lord, there can be no misfortune. But because our consciousness is hell-bent on being separated from the Lord, then we suffer like anything. So this is the technique of driving away the personality of Kali from the world. Everything, he was talking about the radio here. It would be the government's best interest to always have things broadcasting the name, fame, glories of the Lord. But because that's not what they're doing, instead we have a very misfortunate world. But if we ourselves personally use our facilities that we do have, our YouTube channel, our social media, all these things that we are collecting information and hearing things from, our television series, our movies, if we offer them to the Lord, then we can have auspiciousness. Like, did you watch the Mahavatar Nrsimha movie yet? You watched here with us? You watched. Did you watch this movie?
No, not yet.
I would recommend watching this movie. And I had a really profound experience. The first movie we let Abhiram watch, we usually don't like too much to have him with the screens. But with this understanding, nothing's bad if it's offered to the Lord. So he can read off the screens, he can, But we watched the Mahavatar Nishinga movie, and I'll tell you, it was very inspiring. Just in movie form, to see the pastime of the Lord and to see the Lord's devotee in Prahlad Maharaj and the teachings he was giving, was so inspiring, and it really uplifted the consciousness. But most movies don't do that. Most movies promote sex life and promote this, that, and the other, material gain and material prosperity and things like that. And next thing you know, we watch it, and then we're hankering for all those things we saw in the movie. And instead of being uplifted the consciousness, we degraded the consciousness. So this is how we can draw out misfortune. We can surround ourselves with the consciousness of the Lord, what we hear about, what we speak about, what we personally practice and focus our attention on. The more it's about God, the more auspicious and blessed our life can be. The less it's about God, then all kinds of longing and nothing feeling good enough, and labor, very intense labor, and feeling misfortunate. So it would be the leaders of society's best interest to introduce these things. Let's read this verse. Nanu dveshti kaling samra saranga eva sarabu kushalan yashu siddhyanti netarani kritaniya. Na, never. Anudveshti, envious. Kalim, unto the personality of Kali. Samrat, the emperor. Sadam, saranga, realist like the bees. That's interesting. Eva, like. Sarabuk, one who accepts the substance. Kushalani, auspicious objects. Ashu, immediately. Siddhyanti, become successful. Na, never. Itarani, which are inauspicious. Kritani, being performed. Yat, as much as. So Maharaj Parikshit was a realist, like the bees who only accept the essence of a flower. He knew perfectly well that in this age of Kali, auspicious things produce good effects immediately, whereas inauspicious acts must be actually performed to render effects. So he was never envious of the personality of Kali. It's understood that the bees, they go and they extract the nectar out of the flower, and this is how they create honey. They don't take the whole flower. They take the essence, that really essential thing. So similarly, Maharaj Parikshit, he's compared to a bee. And he knew perfectly well in this age of Kali, auspicious things produce effects immediately, and inauspicious things must be actually performed to render effects. So we'll see what Prabhupada says. The age of Kali is called the fallen age. In this fallen age, because the living beings are in an awkward position, the Supreme Lord has given some special facilities to them. So by the will of the Lord, a living being does not become a victim of a sinful act until the act is actually performed. In other ages, simply by thinking of performing a sinful act, one used to become a victim of the act. On the contrary, a living being in this age is awarded with the results of pious acts simply by thinking of them. Maharaj Parikshit, being the most learned and experienced king by the grace of the Lord, was not unnecessarily envious of the personality of Kali, because he did not intend to give him any chance to perform any sinful act. He protected his subjects from falling prey to the sinful acts of the age of Kali, and at the same time he gave full facility to the age of Kali by allotting him some particular places. At the end of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that even though all nefarious activities of the personality of Kali are present, there is a great advantage in this age of Kali. One can attain salvation simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Thus Maharaj Parikshit made an organized effort to propagate the chanting of the Lord's holy name, and thus he saved the citizens from the clutches of Kali. It is for this advantage only that great sages sometimes wish all good for the age of Kali. In the Vedas also it is said that by discourse on Lord Krishna's activities, one can get rid of all the disadvantages of the age of Kali. So just by doing what we're doing right now, discoursing about Lord Krishna's activities, all disadvantages of the age of Kali will be removed. Just by chanting the names of the Lord, all disadvantages of Kali will be removed. Just by worshipping the Lord, all disadvantages of Kali will be removed. So this is why we do what we do. And if you can develop faith in this, or even try it and see what happens in your life, you'll personally see all disadvantages will be removed. So, let's see. In the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also said that by the recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Supreme Lord becomes at once arrested within one's heart. These are some of the great advantages of the age of Kali. And Maharaj Parikshit took all the advantages and did not think any ill of the age of Kali, true to his Vaishnava. This is cult here, but cult means like a system of religion. It's like old British English. Now, over the past a few decades, the cult has become a bad word, but it's not a bad word. It just means a system of religion. But for those who are the Vaishnavas, we actually realize how fortunate we are in the age of Kali, because everything is so disturbing around us in this world, and then the Lord has given us such an easy facility, an easy set of circumstances, that it's very easy to just sit and turn to the Lord. And you say, you know what, my life is so disturbing. Before you had to usually fall into great misfortune before you would turn into the Lord. But everything was so fortunate around you, it would be very easy to get distracted with all the prosperity of life. Even 50 years ago, 100 years ago, life was so much more prosperous for the common people. But now only it's prosperous for the very rich, and we're getting squeezed and squeezed and squeezed more and more. But it's easier and easier as Kali progresses in its misfortune for us to sit and turn towards our fortunate benediction of the Lord. So this is what we're doing. The easiest way to do that is to regularly discuss Srimad Bhagavatam. That's why we do this every day. That's why I'm calling Sampath every day. Come on, 3 times a week, that'd be great. But if you did it every day, it would be even better. Even more auspiciousness, blessedness would come to your life. And so, your job, everything will be taken care of. If you develop a habit of wanting to, associate with the Lord on a daily level or every day, He will bless all the arrangements so that you can do that. But, if we only want the results of our activities, the Bhagavad Gita says this is a more foolish path, and we'll be disappointed, because inevitably we won't get all the results that we want. But if we want the Lord, then we'll never be disappointed, because the Lord will always make Himself more and more readily available. And then all blessings will also come, because the Lord controls all wealth, controls all beauty, gives relationships, gives children, gives all the houses, everything that needs to be there. I'm shocked that I'm a homeowner. I don't know how it even happened. We haven't worked a regular job in like 5 years. I haven't worked like a regular job in many years now. And but somehow Krishna arranged through different things. I mean, the Airbnb, you could say, is like a job, but I don't even handle that. Mostly others are handling this thing, or my wife will handle it and things. I just kind of talk to people and collect the money. But you could say it's a job, but it's not much. It's mostly, these are most of the activities. And that's why every day we try to have at least one program a day available to the public and available for ourselves, because we want to create fortune in our life. We want to create auspiciousness. We don't want to create situations that will leave us feeling dejected and degraded and disappointed in life. And so this is the magic touch, the magic technique. Just everything that you do, include the Lord in the arrangement, and everything will be blessed. So, wherever there's the Lord, just like wherever there's light, there cannot be darkness. Wherever there's the Lord, there cannot be misfortune. So obviously, let's bring the Lord into the equation here. And misfortune cannot threaten you, Radha Krishna Bol 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 Hare Sabai. And that just means everybody chant Radha Krishna's name. So, thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Enjoy your day, guys. And Sampath, thank you for joining.